There's a new twist to the story involving retailers who refused or at least decided to stop carrying Ivanka Trump's brand. Now, apparently, the Trump administration feels that even though retailers like Nordstrom decided to stop carrying Ivanka Trump because of lagging sales, it really didn't have to do with financial reasons. It had to do with political reasons. There's something dirty happening behind the scenes. Well, again, these retailers have doubled down and said, no, it has nothing to do with political reasons. Look at the sales, they suck. But Kellyanne Conway, nonetheless, went on Fox News and decided to talk about this. Fox and Friends, to be specific. Here she is speaking from the White House briefing room.
I do find it ironic that you've got some executives all over the internet bragging about what they've done to her and her line, and yet they're using the most prominent woman in Donald Trump's, most prominent,
right.
She's his daughter, and they're using her, who's been a champion for women empowerment,
sure.
women in the workplace, to get to him.
Just,
so I think people can see through that.
30
go
seconds.
buy Ivanka's stuff is what I would tell you. I hate shopping. I'm gonna go get some on myself today.
Okay, she is not a good example of a woman who fights for women's rights or whatever. You know, I think that they're trying to strategically place her in that position so they can appeal to more female voters, which, by the way, worked with a lot of white voters who ended up voting for Trump. But again, like, the notion of her being like, the epitome of female empowerment is kind of overstated. But let's get to the topic at hand. She's talking about how people should go out there and buy Ivanka Trump's stuff. That was an ad for Ivanka Trump's brand. You're not supposed to be able to do that. There are actually rules against it.
Yeah, it sounds bad, but she didn't, like, say the word commercial or anything.
It's insane. Let me give you...
I'm joking because she does the next one. Anyway.
It
looks bad.
No, it is bad. It's terrible. In fact, there are now Republicans speaking out against this, and I'll get to that in just a second. She says, I'm going to give it a free commercial here. Go buy it today. In that same segment. In that same segment.
She calls it a commercial.
Okay, so again, there are rules against that, and Republican Representative Jason Chaffetz was bothered by this, to say the least. Now, the White House released a statement indicating that they have since counseled Kellyanne Conway on what she said and how it's inappropriate. But Jason Chaffetz, I got to give him credit, he chairs the House Oversight Committee. He said that's not enough. That is unacceptable behavior. I am not here to do the bidding of the president. I am here to call him out when he does something wrong. And in this case, Kellyanne Conway has done something wrong. And I love that there's been pushback. I love that there are some Republican lawmakers who are not just sitting back and letting bad behavior go unchecked. But it's just incredible, again, that we have another example of the lack of understanding of what is and isn't allowed when you are in this position of power.
Yeah, well, she's certainly not supposed to do that. I mean, the problem is, if she's boosting Ivanka's products by talking about them in that way, then Trump is too, because he tweeted about it. And I was told, and I trusted Trump's advisor, who said that he is going to be separate from his family's businesses. In fact, he's not even going to know what goes on in them. And yet he knew about Nordstrom dropping Ivanka Trump earlier than I did and was immediately on the job trying to get her products put back in the stores. So weird how that works out.
It's strange to me that this man who believes that there is too much government involvement and too much regulation in businesses is now bullying businesses that don't want to carry his daughter's brand.
Yeah.
Right? And he bullies anyone who disagrees with him. He takes everything personally. He's a crazy, paranoid person.
Yeah. But also, Sean Spicer said it's unacceptable for them to drop her brand. Now, these are strong capitalists who believe that companies should be allowed to do what they want unless they choose to make the business decision to not associate themselves with someone's products, in which case they should be lambasted and be told that it's unacceptable to make that decision.
This is insane. So,
well, and really fast, we don't have time, but if you think that we're focusing too much on this and that it's a conflict of interest, sure, but it's just Ivanka Trump. I mean, we talked yesterday about the Department of Defense is going to spend between $1 and $3 million renting out space in Trump Tower. No evidence has been provided yet that won't end up in Trump's pockets. And also, Donald Trump Jr., no, it was Eric Trump, went on a $100,000 taxpayer-paid-for vacation to represent the Trump organization, not as a member of the government, but because Secret Service needed to be sent. You just spent $100,000 to send him there for business deals.
That's right. That's right. And so this is one of the smaller examples of the conflicts of interest at play in the White House. But it's not just about this isolated story. It's not about Ivanka Trump. It's about what's happening with policy decisions and what's happening with our taxpayer money. And so you highlighted a perfect example of the Secret Service and the security that we will pay for so Trump's son can go on this business trip. But also keep in mind, when it comes to foreign policy, Donald Trump is picking and choosing which Muslim countries he likes and dislikes based on which countries he has, business ties to. Again, during the election, he registered 8 businesses in Saudi Arabia, which is why Saudi Arabia is not included in his travel ban. Weird. It's not like extremism doesn't exist in Saudi Arabia. So that's another example. It's just happening over and over again. And so when members of the media made a big deal about it, it wasn't because we just dislike Trump and we want to give him a hard time. It's because it's something that Americans should genuinely be concerned about. A president is supposed to represent the people, not his business interests. He's not supposed to use his role of leadership to profit handsomely from all of his different businesses throughout the country, throughout the world. And that's exactly what's happening here. Yeah. And think about the amount of money he owes in the form of loans to financial institutions throughout the world. And in this country, is he going to regulate them? Is he going to maybe do favors for them in order to strike better deals for his loans? I mean, come on, let's just keep it real and take a look at what's in front of us right now and the very clear violations.
Agreed.
Anyway, and then also, if you want to talk a little bit about fake news, Breitbart had reported that as a result of Nordstrom dropping Ivanka Trump's label, stock for the company plummeted, and that is not true. In fact, the same day that this became a big story, the same day that Donald Trump decided to tweet to Nordstrom and bully them for not carrying the brand, stock actually went up. So it began Wednesday at $42.78 per share, and by Wednesday afternoon was trading at $44.53, $1.75 higher, a net gain of 4.09%. So that's what really happened. I also checked today, and stock actually increased even further. So Nordstrom is doing fine. Today at about 12 noon Pacific time, the number was at $45.59.
Yeah. Yeah, and further, Breitbart's original headline about them dropping it was, Nordstrom drops Ivanka Trump's products for political reasons.
Yeah.
So they put out a press release saying it doesn't sell, so we're getting rid of it. Trump says it's for political reasons. If you only get your news from Breitbart, they just tell you whatever the president says. They don't actually look into it. You could even say, hypothetically, they don't trust Nordstrom. Okay, then do what CNN does. Say, this is what Nordstrom says, this is what the president says, but you only get one side of that if you go to Breitbart News, and so I feel sorry for you.
Fix the media. Be the media. Come join us. tytnetwork.com/join.